We are tracking the latest on the U.S. airstrikes in Syria we mentioned at the top of the show, targeting facilities that American officials are linking to Iranian-backed militant groups.
The Pentagon says the strikes are a response to recent rocket and drone attacks on U.S. forces. And the move comes at a time of heightened tensions in the Middle East amid the ongoing Israel-Hamas war. And ABC Chief Global Affairs Correspondent Martha Raddatz has the latest.
Overnight, retaliation. In the skies above Syria's border with Iraq, a pair of American F-16 fighter jets targeting two munitions facilities the Pentagon says were linked to a spate of recent rocket and drone attacks on U.S. forces in the region. Both facilities, says the Pentagon, aligned with Iranian-backed militias. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin saying the United States does not seek conflict and has no intention nor desire to engage in further hostilities, but these Iranian-backed attacks against U.S. forces are unacceptable and must stop. There have been at least 19 attacks on American forces in Iraq and Syria, leaving nearly 24 U.S. service members with minor injuries, including symptoms of traumatic brain injury. The attacks on Americans escalating as the war in Israel heats up. Earlier this week, President Biden warning Iran's supreme leader.
My warning to the Ayatollah was that if they continue to move against those troops, we will respond, and he should be prepared.
But while the U.S. stopped short of targeting Iran itself, a senior U.S. official saying Iran's fingerprints were all over these attacks. 1 week ago, the Pentagon shooting down numerous missiles and drones it said were launched from Iranian-backed militants in Yemen, aimed in the direction of Israel and a U.S. destroyer in the Red Sea.
And joining us now is Chief Global Affairs Correspondent Martha Raddatz. Martha, I have to ask you, what was the strategy here?
Well, I think there was a lot of debate about this, whether they should really hit those militants hard or do a limited response. And with two F-16s and hitting two munitions facilities, they went for the limited response. I think number one in their mind right now is they do not want this war to spread. They do not want to provoke the militants any further than they've already provoked, because they've been trying to deter them for weeks. They have an aircraft carrier out there. They have another one on the way. They're adding additional troops in the region, and still these attacks have happened again and again. I think people forget that we have troops in Syria and Iraq. We have hundreds in Syria. We have thousands in Iraq, and they're there fighting ISIS and trying to make sure that ISIS doesn't come back in force. And meanwhile, over these past few weeks, they've just been pummeled. No one has been hurt seriously, but there is always that chance when you're attacked by drones and missiles.
So, Martha, does the Biden administration expect more attacks from Iran? And if so, what's being done to protect our troops?
Well, I think they are. I think they're bracing for that, DeMarco, because it really could happen any time. I think they're hopeful that our attacks on these munitions facilities will send a strong message. But it was just a week ago we sent a pretty strong message as well by shooting down those missiles coming out of Yemen. And I think there are about 15 drones they shot down. So they are hopeful that they will stop. But there is absolutely no guarantee that will happen. And then the U.S. is going to have to reassess and say, now what do we do? Do we keep these sort of pinprick strikes on munitions facilities, or do you go wider and harder? And that's really the debate within the White House.
Such a delicate balance in that region. Chief Global Affairs Correspondent Martha Raddatz, thank you so much for joining us.
You bet.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.